to business sometimes, they not only take collateral of your business, but they get personal guarantees. That means they're allowed to take your personal assets. So they took our home in Brooklyn, our home in Deal. They took our cars. They took our money in the bank, life insurance policies, even our personal jewelry. And they foreclosed everything. And I felt like, what are we going to do? And at that moment, it hit me that they were able to foreclose everything that we had physically and monetarily, but they couldn't take what was in my brain, and that's my education. Education is just a word. What does it really mean? Recently, a few years back, I was in Mag David, working with 11th graders in SPARK, which stands for Strengthening Pride and Reinforcing Kindness. And we talked about a lot of topics over 6-7 weeks with a bunch of boys, and finally I asked them all, so what are your goals in life? The guys looked at me like I was crazy. They said, what do you mean? I go, well, everybody has to think about why we're on this earth, what are we doing here, what's our mission, what are we supposed to be doing to make our life meaningful. Can't just wake up, go to sleep, and die of old age. So I pressed the boys to give me an answer, and finally they all said the same thing. I want to be rich, I want to get married and have children and be in the community, and that was their answer. So I asked them, okay, so what are you doing about your goal, to achieve your goal? What's your plan of action? And of course, every guy looked at me like I was retarded. I said, well, yeah, you have a goal and you're not working towards it, you're not doing anything to achieve that goal? So some of the kids said, yeah, I'm going to go to college. I said, you go to college? What do you mean? You just finished telling me how in high school you haven't really been taking it too seriously and not doing too well. What's going to be different in college? So one kid told me, come on. High school courses really aren't that important. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, algebra. Am I really going to use the letter X in real life? So I said, well, I don't know. I use algebra every day. He said, how's that? I said, well, I'm in the real estate business. I try to buy buildings. And what should I pay for a building when it comes up for sale? And I said, I use algebra. The price of the building is X. That's the unknown. I solve for X using rents and interest rates, make a formula, and we just solve for X. Simple as that. So the guy said, okay, how about geometry? Tell me you use the hypotenuse and pi in real life. I said, I use geometry every day. He said, how's that? I said, well, I'm in the real estate business. I want to charge a guy rent for a space that I have, a building that I own. And if a building's a square, we take the side, square it, that's the square footage. If a building's a triangle, here comes the hypotenuse. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And we add it up, and that's the rent we charge them on that square footage. And if the building's a circle, we use the radius, which is a line through the circle, we square it and multiply it by 3.14141414. And then we calculate that, we charge the guy rent. So the kid said, okay, that's a big example. How about history? I'm going to use history? I use history every day. He says, how's that? I said, well, I meet a guy. I have to size him up in a negotiation. And where he comes from, his background, the country he's from, all is part of his mental, all part of his personality and what he's going to be like. For example, you get people from the Middle East, they love to over-negotiate. And to no end, you got to know that. You get people, Asian people, they're very industrious and hardworking, they don't want to sell, so you have to know that. You have some people who are lazy from countries that they don't like to work that hard, and they want to sell and take the fast money, so history is important too. So he says, okay, how about English? Oh, come on, English is obvious. Vocabulary, eloquence, speaking in a concise way, clear, being able to communicate with somebody, impressing them with your power of your words. Even writing a letter. Can't tell you how many letters I wrote in business that made me a lot of money because I was able to convince someone through writing. And then I told the kids in that day, I said, more powerful than the four courses you just asked me about, the most powerful course of all was Gemara. And they all looked at me like I was crazy again. I said, because Gemara is the power of thinking, how to analyze, how to analog things, how to break every word down, how to look at something and, two rabbis are debating, that's what we do in a business negotiation. You're talking to a guy, he gives you a point to knock you down in your rent or knock you down to make you pay more money. You got to come back and tell him why what he said is not right. Every contract you look at, every comma, a comma can change the whole meaning of a sentence. A simple little comma. How to think, how to attack any business problem or how to attack anything in life at all. Then you even have Humash. I can tell you honestly that the way I deal with people in business is the way Yaakov dealt with his adversaries. When you want something, you want to buy a building from somebody, you walk into a room, you go, I want to buy a building. It tells you not for sale. What do you walk out? You got to analyze. Why isn't it for sale? What is this guy about? What's his problem? What does he need? Yaakov did that with Esav and then did it with Lavan. He analyzed them. If I find out what they need, I can get what I need. I can give them what they want, I can get what I want. That was the secret to Yaakov. And the truth of the matter is, that's just six topics in high school. Could you imagine college, finance, concepts of risk and present value, accounting, reading balance sheets, legal studies, contracts, and leases, be able to read them and know what you're talking about, to be able to give constructive input to a lawyer. And you have other courses like statistics. Unbelievable the power of noticing what the odds of things are going to happen. Very, very powerful tool in life. Risk and insurance, marketing, management, economics. And forget all the business courses. Then you have psychology, you have sociology, you have philosophy. And more important than just being a good businessman, all these topics help you be a better person, be a better friend, a better community member, a parent. All those tools, I can honestly say that every day I'm in work or in life, I draw on some of those tools. Maybe I draw on my tax accounting course in one meeting with a guy because he's very concerned about taxes if he sells a building. Maybe I draw on psychology because he's not sure what he wants to do. But every day those topics are used in real life because every part of what you do draws on something from those courses. And let's face it, Syrians are very sharp. They know how to maneuver, they know how to talk, they know how to do things. That's a gift that we have as a community. But could you imagine taking that power of what we have as Syrian people and adding to it all the tools that I just discussed? That's real power. That's the combination of two things that make people unbeatable. When I graduated high school, like all of you are now, a lot of you graduating high school, I remember being in college my first month, and I had a lot of friends. Most of the people those days didn't go to, 29 years ago, most people didn't go to college. And I remember having friends that were working in stores, making $1,000, $1,500 a week as salesmen, commissions, and here I was in economics doing supply and demand curves, and guys told me after 2-3 months, hey, I made $10,000, $20,000, I saved $25,000, and I was getting very, very nervous about being in my first month of school, taking instruction courses. One time I called and said, Pop, am I really doing the right thing in college? All these guys are making so much money, and I'm nowhere. He said, son, when you guys graduated together, your friends started walking ahead. And when you get ready to walk, you're going to take giant steps. And that was another great message that I learned. That in business and in life, you have to have patience. You have to understand life's a process. You can't skip steps. You can't go from first grade to sixth grade. You need all the tools, all the fundamentals. And that lesson taught me to be disciplined, to believe in what I was doing, even though other people might in the short term seem like they were ahead. Because what counts is the long term and all the tools that you build to drive you through all of life. Anyway, that's education. I know you guys who signed up, and whether they didn't sign up for real estate, I apologize. But I know people who signed up want to hear about real estate. So let me tell you a quick story about real estate. Real estate's a great business. I had a friend of mine many years ago in 1988 who called me up and told me they were going to be on the front page of the New York Times, right column. That was very exciting because usually the right column of the New York Times is reserved for World War, tsunamis, cure for cancer, and he was going to be on the front page. So I woke up in the morning, I saw this article there that he bought 4 properties for $392 million. Wow. Everyone was congratulating him. The most prominent properties in New York City. 5th Avenue, 57th Street, 40 Wall Street, Herald Center, 290 Madison, Dream. Next 18 months, those same 4 properties in foreclosure auction sold for $160 million combined. $230 million loss. What's the point? If you believe that you can just buy a property and it goes up, obviously that can't be the case because everyone would buy it and everyone would just buy real estate and have no meaning. People who bought stocks in the late 90s, everyone was rolling, buying stocks up $2, $3 every day, $4, making tons of money. Then in March 2000, it crashed. People who made money lost the money they made and more. You can't just be someone who says, I'm going to buy real estate, it's going to go up. Maybe in the last 5-6 years, no matter what you bought, it was the case. But it does change. So I'm not really in the real estate business. I'm just like a scientist or a chemist in a lab doing experiments all day long. I think about